Nathaniel Sports Central, we go over a college football game preview and prediction on the Week 4 matchup between the Wisconsin Badgers and the Ohio State Buckeyes. Huge matchup for both these teams coming up here in Week 4. You got Wisconsin, which is a team with something to prove as we head into Week 4. They're 2-1 so far this season, took a loss in Week 2 to Washington State. And this is definitely a huge opportunity for the Badgers to make a statement against an Ohio State team. The Buckeyes, of course, widely considered a top 3 team in the nation. We'll bring over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today, starting out with your team trends. Wisconsin beat New Mexico State 66-7 in their matchup in Week 3. So solid win for them, even though New Mexico State is probably one of the worst teams in the FBS. Yeah, they're 2-1. They took a loss in Week 2 to Washington State, 17-14. Really struggled on offense in that matchup, and that was definitely a concerning game there. But otherwise, this team has been dominant in their other 2 games. As for Ohio State, beat Toledo 77-21. So the offense really shined for Ohio State in that game, and they're 3-0 to start off the season. They do have a signature win, or you could call it that. I mean, it's number 5 Notre Dame back in Week 1, but turns out Notre Dame is probably not quite as good as we thought heading into the season. But either way, still a win over a top 5 team to start off the season there. But Ohio State otherwise has been dominant, 3-0 to start off the season, and ranked number 3 in the AP poll. Gives me on Saturday, September 24th in Columbus. It's also a night game, 7:30 p.m. Eastern to the kickoff. Spread's going Ohio State here by 18, so the Buckeyes are favored by decent margin in this game, which isn't surprising considering Wisconsin did have that bad showing against Washington State a couple of weeks ago, and that's by far the best team that Wisconsin has played to this point. And I think the Cougars are honestly a pretty good football team this season. They're off to a great start, and they could turn out to be a dark horse contender in the Pac-12. But either way, still a disappointing loss there. But Ohio State favored by 18, over-unders 57. FBI is going Ohio State 89%. So Buckeyes are heavily favored, you could see in this matchup. Series history, Ohio State leads at 61-18. They've won the past 8 meetings between these 2 programs. And last time Wisconsin won against Ohio State was 2010. And the time before that was 2004. So Ohio State has been dominant in recent history against Wisconsin. Here's your stat comparison. Wisconsin, 39 points per game so far this season, 8 points allowed. So defensively, they have been fairly impressive so far this season. That's kind of the same story with Wisconsin in the past few years. Is on defense, they're always very strong, but when it comes to offense, not so much. And we saw that in Week 2. I mean, they put up 66 last week, put up 38 against Illinois State in Week 1, but obviously those 2 teams that they played in the non-conference there, other than Washington State, are not very strong teams. Yeah, they got 260 pass yards a game, 218 rush yards, and then for yards allowed, 170 for passing, 76 for rushing. So, I mean, on offense, this team does have, though, Braylon Allen is a very real threat for this team that they have in the backfield there. I mean, Braylon Allen's already got 330 yards and 5 touchdowns on the season. And he's a young running back that's got tremendous potential, definitely a very talented player. And I mean, we've seen so many excellent running backs come out of Wisconsin in the past few years, and Braylon Allen looks to be the next one. But as for Ohio State, 47 points per game, 14 points allowed, 358 passers a game, 207 rush yards. And for yards allowed, 194 for passing, 84 for rushing. So a very well-balanced Ohio State team here. They're very strong on offense. Obviously, C.J. Stroud, very strong team on offense. And obviously, when you got a quarterback as talented as Stroud is, that's huge. And obviously on defense, tremendous talent as well. Your recent matchups, your first 3 games for both these teams. Wisconsin beat New Mexico State 66-7. Lost to Washington State, of course, 14-17. And shut out Illinois State in Week 1, 38-0. As for Ohio State, beat Toledo 77-21, beat Arkansas State in Week 2, 45-12. So they were dominant against both of those teams, and they definitely should have. And of course, beat Notre Dame, who was number 5 in the nation heading into Week 1, which in retrospect, as we head into Week 4, and Notre Dame is 1-2 and almost lost to Cal last week. Notre Dame is definitely not the team that we expected them to be this season. They're definitely a younger team this season, but definitely, in a rebuild mode for Notre Dame. But either way, Ohio State beat them when Notre Dame was ranked 5th in the nation, 21-10. Here's our key points for this one. Wisconsin 2-1 offensively. Got potential, could be better. I mean, there's no doubt. They got talent. They got Braylon Allen, who's definitely on the rise right now, and he is an excellent running back. You could definitely say the most talented player on this offense. Of course, Graham Mertz is a quarterback who, he looks decent so far this season. Obviously, against Washington State, he didn't look too good. But he's got 700 yards, 6 touchdowns, 2 picks. But he's going to have to show up big in this matchup if they want a chance to beat Ohio State. Defensively, one of the best in the Big Ten, no doubt. That's usually how it goes. Wisconsin is very strong on defense. And this is a huge opportunity for the Badgers here. They had that disappointing loss in Week 2 against Washington State, as mentioned before. But this is an opportunity for them to flip that script and go into Columbus. And at least, if they can make it a close game, be competitive, I think that'd go a long way. Potentially they maybe have a chance of pulling the upset. Who knows? But that would be obviously massive for Wisconsin, being a team that is unranked right now and kind of off the radar, especially once again after a disappointing Week 2 loss. That's for Ohio State. Very strong on both sides of the ball. No doubt C.J. Stroud, potentially the best quarterback in the nation. You got Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud, who are widely thought of to be the top two, and C.J. Stroud so far this season has been extremely strong, to say the least. Almost 1,000 yards already of passing with 11 touchdowns, no picks in his first 3 games. So this is a very strong Ohio State offense. C.J. Stroud is outstanding, to say the least, and you also got to consider they've got an excellent home field advantage, and it's also in a nighttime atmosphere. So for Ohio State, they do have a big advantage there, and it's going to be, that makes it all the more tougher for Wisconsin to maybe have a chance to pull an upset here. But that said, let's get to the prediction here for Wisconsin and Ohio State coming up here in Week 4. No surprise here, I'm going Ohio State. 38-20 is my predicted final score, and this is a game that I think is going to be fairly close at the start. I think Wisconsin's defense keeps them in the game for a while, but in the end, Ohio State breaks through in the second half and wins this game by 18. So the spread is actually Ohio State by 18 right now, so I am projecting a push for this game. But if I'm going to pick the spread here, it's Wisconsin by a sliver pretty much. The spread is as close as it gets to pick, if you ask me. Ohio State in a night game could easily end up covering, especially if they have a big second half, which I am kind of expecting. But the Badgers, offensively, they got to score more than 20 points if they want a chance to win, especially, their defense really needs to show up. But, I just don't see Wisconsin scoring a lot of points in this game, going up against a great Ohio State defense. Braylon Allen is the main threat on the Wisconsin offense, and if he gets contained, it's going to be really tough for Wisconsin to put points up on the board. Probability, I'm going to say 65% towards Ohio State. Over-under is 57. I'll take the over for this one as well, just barely. And once again, the spread, I'm not projecting any team to cover the spread here, but I am going to pick Wisconsin, if anything. But anyway, that's it. That's going to wrap it up for today. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this matchup, and I appreciate you guys watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.